ladies and gentlemen. Every now and then, in the vast, bizarre universe of transportation history, we stumble onto a machine so tiny, so brave, and so gloriously impractical that it instantly earns a VIP seat in our Hall of Fame. Today, we're diving headfirst into the microscopic madness of the 1936 Delimal Le Carabe, a microcar so small it makes a shopping cart look like a limousine, and so charming it could probably negotiate world peace if it had enough horsepower to get there on time. Before we begin, feel free to hit that subscribe button, because unlike my buddy Timmy's fourth marriage, this channel actually has a future. Now buckle up, because this delightful French three-wheeled contraption is more than a cute museum curiosity. It's a love letter to human ingenuity, an engineering dare, and possibly the only vehicle in history built from plywood, bicycle parts, cotton insulation, and the sheer audacity of one very determined inventor. And trust us, it's a wild ride, even if its top speed barely outruns a jogger with good shoes. To understand the Le Carabe, we need to rewind to France, 1936, a time when the Great Depression was squeezing wallets, cities were crammed, and parking in Paris was already a competitive blood sport. Enter Hippolyte Delimal, an engineer, a cabinet maker, and, I suspect, a man who once spent 2 hours searching for parking before snapping and deciding to reinvent the automobile entirely. Delimal believed the answer to urban chaos wasn't louder horns, ruder drivers, or taller rays. It was shrinking the entire car. His idea was radical, even by French standards. A tiny vehicle anyone could build at home, using cheap materials, basic tools, and a level of hope usually reserved for first-time politicians. He wanted mobility for the masses, a people's car stripped down to its bare essentials, lighter, smaller, and cheaper than anything else on the road. Armed with determination and a stack of plywood, Delimal began construction on 13th of July, 1936. The body was finished the next day. The entire car was done in 8 days, a timeline so fast that when I told Timmy, he said, 8 days! My divorce papers took longer than that. Delimal scavenged a motorbicane two-stroke motorcycle engine, repurposed bicycle parts for steering and drivetrain, and documented every detail in a 63-page handwritten booklet filled with charming sketches and instructions reminiscent of a 1930s DIY magazine. In August 1936, he proudly presented his insect-sized machine at the Concours Lépine, an exhibition celebrating inventors and dreamers. The public adored it, laughed at it, photographed it, questioned it. Basically the same reaction my neighbor Bob got when he built a homemade antenna hat to interrupt alien mind rays. However, just like Bob's hat, Delimal's microcar didn't win any prizes. Investors stayed away, production never began, and the original prototype eventually disappeared. Some sources speculate that as many as 2 prototypes may have existed, but none survived. Thankfully, Delimal's manuscript did. Decades later, the Lane Motor Museum in Nashville acquired it and commissioned the talented craftsman at Janda Garage in the Czech Republic to build faithful replicas. Finished in bright red with an optional windshield and the charm of a ladybug on roller skates, these replicas finally allowed the world to appreciate Delimal's vision in full, adorable scale. To this day, no original or replica has been sold at a major auction. The car remains priceless, not because of market scarcity, but because its value lies in its story, its spirit, and its refusal to take up more space than a determined Frenchman absolutely insisted upon. Now let's get technical, because even a car the size of a sofa cushion deserves respect. Le Carabe followed a configuration we rarely see today. 1 wheel up front, 2 wheels at the back, and a whole lot of courage in between. Steering was handled by a repurposed bicycle handlebar mounted to a telescopic fork, making every turn feel like guiding a very confused tricycle through the streets of Paris. The tiny vehicle was powered by an air-cooled motorbicane two-stroke single-cylinder engine mounted at the rear. Delimal's notes list the displacement as 50 cc, though later accounts mention a 175 cc alternative. Both engines were paired to a 2-speed transmission delivering power to the rear wheels via chain drive, a setup straight out of a garage tinkerer's dreams and probably Timmy's nightmares. Despite its delicate nature, the little engine pushed the car to a top speed of around 40 km/h, 24 miles per hour. Sure, a motivated pigeon could pass it, but for urban traffic of the 1930s, it was surprisingly usable. And thanks to its featherweight construction, Delimal claimed fuel consumption of 118 mpg, 100 kilometers, a figure so good my neighbor Bob would tattoo it on his arm if tattoos didn't let the government track your skin vibrations. The frame and body were built from plywood stretched over a timber skeleton. Delimal saw plywood as the sheet metal of the carpenter, a poetic line that makes you appreciate his craft, and also his refusal to pay for metal. The entire car weighed just 200 pounds, 90 kilograms, lighter than some modern e-bikes. The cockpit seated one adult, and entry was through a single side door. There was no roof, but Delimal suggested a DIY canvas top, presumably to keep rainfall from turning the driver into a damp baguette. Motorcycle drum brakes handled stopping duties. They were simple, functional, and totally adequate for something that weighed less than my grill and accelerated like political reform, slow, deliberate, and unlikely to surprise anyone.